I can't die for Nigeria. Hey, Dele Farotimi spits fire on a live interview with Hosseini Rufai. I'm telling you. So, Hosseini Rufai had an interview with Dele Farotimi, and Dele Farotimi has said it again. You know, in one of his books that he wrote about, he said, do not die in their war. Because this guy, they have no regard for anybody. People that have died in their war have their families suffering right now without any compensation. The government does not care. So I'm sure he's borrowing his statement from that book, saying that he cannot die for Nigeria. Probably because of the state of things, the way it is now, you die for nothing. These people are going to have a field day on the Nigerians and their resources. So, but how then would we be free from their hand? That is the big question. Because now, almost all Nigerians are suffering from internal slavery in the hand of the politicians. So how can freedom be secured from these internal slave masters? That is just the big question that we need to answer. But again, let's dive into the details. In a fiery interview with Hosseini Rufai, human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi declared he would not die for Nigeria under this current governance. Wow. So the conversation, aired live, has ignited debates about patriotism and the state of the nation. Farotimi's stark statement, I can't die for Nigeria, was a critique of the pervasive corruption, injustice, and neglect he sees plaguing the country. His refusal to pledge his life was conditional on a complete system overhaul, advocating for a Nigeria where justice, equity, and true governance prevail. The interview highlighted Farotimi's personal experiences, including his arrest, which he linked to his criticism in Nigeria and its criminal justice system. His bold stance has polarized opinions, with some viewing it as a call for systematic reform, while others see it as unpatriotic. This discourse has sparked a broader conversation on what it means to be Nigerian. So the sacrifices citizens should ensure and what they should expect from the nation. Wow. This discourse has sparked a broader conversation on what it means to be a Nigerian, the sacrifices citizens should endure, and what they should expect from their nation. This country don't expect anything. Sorry for that. Don't expect anything. That is it. Wow. So now that Dele Farotimi has said he cannot die for Nigeria, I know he wrote a book that says he do not die in their war. Again, it has sparked a lot of argument in the social media and online. Let's see exactly what people are saying the comment section. Why should one die for a nation that would not even see your sacrifice as a genuine one? After all, up till now, many still believe that Jesus Christ died for his own sin. How much less mere mortal claiming to die for a nation? Exactly. Even Jesus died for the whole world. Some people say he died for his own sin. But Jesus, we know, did not commit any sin. So if Jesus can be treated that way, at that level of divine sovereignty, you can imagine, mere mortals in a country like Nigeria where corruption is the bane of the day. So you cannot die in their war. You cannot die for them. And some say, therefore, Uncle Farotimi should not be seen as an unpatriotic citizen. By the way, what is it in Nigeria to die for? A nation that has been decorated with corruption, wickedness, poverty, and above all, the youths that are expected to be hope of the nation are even more corrupt than the Methuselahs that are lecturers. That are lecturers. I am the corruption auditorium. Can you imagine? So, Brother Farotimi in Nigeria is not worth dying for. Okay? Now, wow. I think Farotimi understand what you're saying, because if you look at the politicians and the way they're doing, fighting each other in the day, in the night, they conglomerate and enjoy and call the citizens fools. Their children are abroad schooling and positioned for greater opportunities, while the poor and their children are being impoverished in Nigeria and made to be their subject and to fight for them. and fight for them during elections. So it is not a good thing to die for people who do not care for you, who do not care about you, who do not care about Nigeria, who do not care about anyone. Someone say, is this what dying for, my brother? Pa Awolowo, MKO, Abiola, Chief Bola Ige, and co died for Nigeria and nothing came out of it. Did you ever hear of their names again? Just do your best and leave the rest. Exactly. It doesn't worth dying for. Nigeria does not worth dying for. Someone say you are just myopic. How myopic is he? Think deep. By the way, Nigeria does not even need the death of every lightweight like Dele to make significant progress in progress. So if she doesn't need the death of anyone, Jesus alone is worthy of salvation of the world. We're talking this one. We understand salvation part. We're talking about the reality of Nigerian state. You are very correct, my brother. Nigeria is not a country worth dying for. That's to tell you that patriotism is gone. It's only Jesus that can die for people, and he did. Okay, and even when he did, some people have refused to accept it. So, not talk of you, mere mortal. You die for Nigeria, sorry for you. You buy for Nigeria, sorry for you. You are absolutely right, bro. So-called Nigeria generated over $900 billion since 1999 to date, and nothing to show for it due to bad leadership. It's very bad. Someone should die for Nigeria. Is there a country in the first place? There's none. There's no. You can imagine the state of Nigeria. And some of the politicians are not worried about these comments because they're already feeling fat or feeding fat from Nigerian mega resources. So to them, Nigeria is good. If you don't die for Nigeria or you die for Nigeria, that is your own. That is how they see it. Quite unfortunate. Is the only a fool that can die for a shithole like Nigeria. And who does that must go straight to hellfire without judgment. Can you imagine? And anyone who is proud of Nigeria is also shameless forever. This guy don't talk. This country is not worth to die for. The same country that uses its youth as sacrifices like October 2020. I will never forget that. Not be lie. I don't pray to die for Nigeria, a country that doesn't care for her citizens. Oh boy, I will not die for Nigeria. No, Nigeria is not worth dying for. No decent and reasonable being will think of dying for this ungodly, retrogressive country like Nigeria. Talk less of dying for it. God forbid leprosy. God forbid leprosy in my life. Not really leprosy. That means if I contemplate for dying for Nigeria, leprosy too will follow follow your corpse. So count me out for dying for Nigeria. Okay. Oh. So almost everybody is saying the same thing. Nobody can die for this country because the country is not worth dying for with the state of things, because the politicians have messed up everything. And whether you die or you don't die, it doesn't make any difference in their eyes. They have seared their conscience with hot iron. People have died for Nigeria during the election, during national activities, during protests, everything for where it in fact, somebody mentioned that Bola Ige, Awolowo, Abiola, and a host of other people have died. Even Gideonoka, even though Gideonoka tried to do coup, but it was in an attempt to salvage Nigeria. All of those people have died and nothing has happened. I'm telling you. Even their children are not mentioned. Their children are in poverty as we speak. So what else? Then self-deliverance is the word for now. Self-deliverance.